Hello everybody, this is the iFind Channel here. Today I'm going to leave Greece as well as the EU and visit Albania. I'll stay in Tirana for 2 days, and then on the 23rd I'm going to leave Tirana for Hungary, which means I'll return to the EU for the rest of the trip. So I'll see you guys at the ferry. After about 40 minutes of being confused and not knowing which terminal to go, I'm finally on the Phoenician lines to Saranda. Yeah, it took this long, and I was extremely confused of where to go. Like I had to ask at least like 3 or 4 people where to point to be able to get to Saranda, and I'm finally here straight at the dot at 9 a.m. Luckily the ferry people waited for me, which is good, because otherwise I'll miss this ferry to Albania, and I might be stuck in Greece for another several hours and waste like 18 euros. So over here it is. I'm not sure if I would get a refund or not for no show, but basically the whole ferry costs like 25 euros. Yes, and if I were to get like a 25% refund, I might only pay like 18 euros or something. So yeah, I was so lucky. After about 30 minutes at the ferry and 10 minutes at the border control, I finally arrived in Saranda in Albania over here. And as you guys can see, 1.5 hours has elapsed since I arrived in Saranda in Albania. And the reason for this is because I had to find a cash exchange. Luckily there is a cash exchange. I had to take 30 minutes to find a cash exchange, and I exchanged 120 euros for 11,760 lek. And here I am at the restaurant. The restaurant is called Tirana Castle, and unfortunately they only sell breakfast and soups as of now. So this is the menu over here. I bought an omelette for 350 lek, which is about 3.50 euros, and it does come with free bread. And now I'm going to look for a SIM card to buy, because all of the SIM cards here are quite expensive. At least 1100 lek for 2 gigabytes. In fact, Mint Mobile only charges $12.50 for 3 gigabytes. And I get my US phone number. So I think I might just buy the Mint roaming pass. And over here it is, my omelette I'm going to enjoy. Now this costs me 350 lek, which is quite affordable. And I'm thinking of eating the omelette with the bread over here. Okay guys, I paid 350 lek for the omelette, and I'm now currently in, you guessed it, Saranda. Let me tell you guys a story about Albania. Albania is a predominantly Muslim country in the Balkans, and during the Cold War it was run by a megalomaniac called Enver Hoxha, and Albania was criticized as being the North Korea of Europe just because of Enver Hoxha's totalitarianism. After the fall of communism, Albania started to become more democratic, but it is by no means the most democratic country in Europe. In fact, Albania's democracy index is somewhere in between hybrid regime and flawed democracy. But as you guys can see, you could see a ton of Benzes around here. Well, not as much as in 2002, when about 80% of the cars are Benzes. Now I do believe the Benz population is about 25 to 30% of all cars registered in Albania, based on my trackings so far. Albania is currently an upper middle income country, and even then it is still one of the poorest in Europe, only behind countries like Bosnia, Macedonia, as well as Ukraine and Moldova, and of course Azerbaijan and Armenia. Albania's currency is lek, and 100 lek equals about 1 euro. And plus, Albania is neither part of the EU, Schengen area, or of course the Eurozone. Even though pundits criticize Enver Hoxha as being authoritarian and totalitarian, in fact he has done several good things to Albania, including the expansion of education, healthcare, and even female rights. And fun fact, Albania reduced illiteracy rate to about 0%. Over here is the bus company, which you could buy tickets from Saranda all the way to Tirana. And fun fact about Saranda, it is a port city and coastal city in Albania, and it kind of resembles Monaco in some way. But based on my verdict, I would say Saranda is quite reminiscent of Budva. Okay guys, I later found out the next bus to Tirana is at 2 p.m. and the last bus left at 10:45, and I was at the bus station at 10:55, so I was 10 minutes late, and therefore I had to wait 3 hours. But for the 3 hours, why not? I'm just going to walk around Saranda because Saranda is quite beautiful. As you guys can see, with all the modernist buildings over here, as well as over there. And as you guys can see with the Riviera, this is very, very reminiscent of Monaco. Yeah, I reckon this as the Monaco of the Balkans. Over here is a statue of one famous Romanian politician, Prime Minister and President of the Senate, aka Nicolae Iorga. He lived between 1871 and 1940, and he contributed to the establishment of the Albanian modern state in 1912. And as you guys know, in 1912, Albania split from the Ottoman Empire, which has been already fledgling for at least 200 years. 91 years before, Greece has split itself from the Ottoman Empire and declared independence 8 years after. Okay guys, I'm now just walking around Saranda, and over there is the Ionian Sea. And why not? I'm thinking of eating lunch somewhere around 12:45, despite the fact I already ate breakfast, aka brunch, at 10:15. So 2.5 hours. An hour has elapsed since I ate. What I meant was I finished my breakfast meal sometime around 10:45. I'm not sure what that landmass is. I do believe it's either Albania or Corfu, but over there are some different landmasses. And fun fact, I could use Greek networks. Yes, in Albania, sort of. Because Nova and Cosmo sort of works in Saranda, because they're close enough, even though the Greek border is at least 20 kilometers away. What I meant is Greek territory, even Corfu, is at least 20 kilometers from Saranda, but I could still get LTE, sort of. But now I'm currently using an eSIM. I paid $6 for, and I received 5 gigabytes instead of like 2 gigabytes for 1100 lek, or about $12 US. Okay guys, here is the beach over here. And fun facts about Saranda. Saranda has 22,000 inhabitants in the municipality. It is in Vlore County, and during Ottoman rule, Vlore used to be one of the capitals of Albania. Even though the vast majority of residents in Saranda are Albanian, in fact there is a small minority of Greek residents. Yes, Greek residents, despite the fact Greece is far wealthier in every single category than Albania. But in reality, the weather here is quite nice, with 300 sunny days per year. Yes, because of the Mediterranean climate. I do think that is the call to prayer, and let me tell you guys a story about Albanian communism, as it is quite confusing. During the beginning of communist Albania, during the late 1940s, Albania used to align with Yugoslavia, but then Albania started to abandon the Yugoslavian League and start aligning with the Warsaw Pact. And after the 1968 invasion of Czechoslovakia by the Soviet Union, Albania went isolationist and started to align more with China. Okay guys, in Saranda I found a gem. It is a Roman ruins over here. Over here is the Namadzah Castle, which was built during the 4th century AD and was replaced by a synagogue during the 5th and 6th centuries AD. Yes, over there is a Roman ruins. I'm not even joking. In Saranda, Albania. And as you guys can see, the Namadzah Basilica Synagogue was constructed between the 5th and 6th centuries AD. Now the synagogue was located in the western wing of the basilica, and as you guys can see, we're currently at F over here. which is the apse of the Christian Basilica. Over there is where the basilica stood, and the nave is about 24 meters tall. The synagogue would be somewhere there. Precisely there will be where the synagogue stood. Now over here is the main mosque of Saranda. Now, fun facts about Islam in Albania. Only 50% of Albanians are Muslims. Yes, 50%. But still, that is a slight majority compared with other religions, because I've heard 15% of Albanians are undeclared. Over there is the single minaret of the mosque. And the mosque is extremely crowded in the inside. So next door to the mosque is what is the Saranda Municipality Hall, aka the City Hall of Saranda. Okay guys, for lunch I ordered a Burger King. This is a Sprite over here, and these are 2 large fries. And this is a chicken hoyao, and guess how much it cost? 1,020 lek, about 10 euros. Yeah, kind of a bit expensive, but I was expecting Albania to be a bit more affordable, like about $7 for this. But in reality, this is closer to $11, so I'm kind of on par with the US, sort of, but a bit cheaper than the US still. After about 3 hours of waiting and wasting time, I finally arrived at the bus. Now this bus takes you to Tirana, and I'm gonna see you guys when I leave Saranda. Okay guys, I just left Saranda city, and over here is where you see the scenery of Albania. As you guys can see, Albania is quite beautiful, just like any Balkans country. Over here it is, the scenery of Albania. Yeah, quite impressive. Okay guys, we're now in the rest area over here. This is what the rest area looks like. Yeah, Auto Grill 24. And as you guys can see, over there is the bus. After nearly 5 hours, I finally arrived at Tirana, the capital of Albania. And why not? I'm going to look for something to eat before returning to the hotel. Okay guys, I'm currently at the Casa Italia Mall, specifically at the Gallery restaurant. It is now 7:15 p.m. and here is my meal. And guess how much I paid? 400 lek, just a bit more than $4. Quite affordable, to be honest, especially in a country which is wealthier than Vietnam. In fact, this whole meal would be like around like 75,000 to 115,000 Vietnamese dong. I've just finished eating dinner at the bar gallery, and now I'm going to wait for the bus. I'm not sure how much the bus costs, but I do believe it is 40 lek based on some sources I've read. So why not? I'm now waiting for bus 30B, and I'll see you guys there. Okay guys, I paid 40 lek to the ticket guy, kind of like in Vietnam, and I'm now on the bus. Now this is what the ticket looks like. This would cost 45 cents. Okay guys, I just returned to the hotel. This is Tirana's best day over here, and let me show you guys the room. As you guys can see, over here is the sofa and the bed, as well as the kitchen and laundry. And over here is the restroom. Unfortunately, the shower is here, which is kind of unfortunate. But I'm now going to sleep and see you guys soon. Okay guys, good morning. I do have some allergies and cough, and therefore I actually bought some water to avoid onset laryngitis, just like the previous trip 2 years ago. So why not? I'm just going to go to the center of Tirana. But over here is what the neighborhood looks like. Okay guys, the first attraction I'm gonna visit is this, which is Enver Hoxha's former residence. Now he lived here during his dictatorship, and fun fact about this house, there is a secret tunnel inside this house. What I meant is there is a secret gate which leads to a secret tunnel. But unfortunately, from its appearance, it seems to be closed now. And here are some facts about Enver Hoxha. Enver Hoxha was born somewhere around 1907 to 1908 in Gjirokastër in Albania, directly south of Tirana. And he studied at several elite institutions within Albania before attending the Montpellier University in France. But due to the fact he started to tilt towards communism, he was later expelled from the University of Montpellier in 1930. He was then the ruler of communist Albania between 1944, the year before World War II ended, and his death in 1985 due to heart failure caused by diabetes. As you guys can see, this is a full view of Enver Hoxha's villa. Now this guy's villa is a similar size to, you guessed it, Nicolae Ceausescu's villa. And Nicolae Ceausescu is another totalitarian communist leader during the same era. Now this villa is not really as big as some other villas, like say the Palais de Versailles, as I do believe the size is about similar to many of the mansions in like Newton and stuff. Now next to Enver Hoxha's former residence, as well as the Pyramid of Tirana, is this, which is the Rainier Park. The Rainier Park was built in 1950 as an urban redevelopment program, and as you guys can see, this is what the park looks like. The park is about 3 hectares big, so kind of okay sized for public park, but not as big as the Park of Tirana. And this park was intended to be a park for families and children to go around, walk around, and take a fresh breath. But after the fall of communism in 1991, illegal buildings were built around the park, including kiosks and bars, and due to the government crackdown in the early 2000s, 130 buildings were demolished around this park, and 45,000 cubic meters of waste were removed from this park. Now inside the park is this, which is the Regency. I'm not sure if I would eat here or not, but here it is. Well, the Regency is a casino within the Taiwan Center. Okay guys, due to the fact I'm kind of hungry, therefore I'm going to eat at Happy Crepes and Pizza. And as you guys can see over here, I do believe is a prosciutto sandwich. I also ordered a calzone, which I believe will come soon, so I'll show you guys once it comes out. Over here is the calzone. Unfortunately, I almost finished the calzone, but as you guys can see, this is what the calzone looks like. Okay guys, I paid around 550 leks, or just a bit more than $6 for this meal. Why not? I'm going to show you guys the Independence Memorial. Okay guys, over here is the memorial depicting the 100th anniversary of Albania's independence. I do believe this memorial was erected in 2012 because Albania declared independence from the Ottoman Empire in 1912. Now over there is the silhouetted black double-headed eagle, which is seen in the Albanian flag, and over there are some signatures. Now next to the Rainier Park you would see this, which is the Cloud Pavilion, which was designed by Su Fujimoto, and it is offered to the public of Tirana by courtesy of Luma Foundation for the promotion of art in Albania. Over here is the cloud. Yes, quite eccentric to be honest, but why not? I'm going to go in, see what the cloud looks like. I do believe this is for regulations, but I'm not too sure. But over here is the inside of the cloud. Yeah, you could climb up these stairs over here. Let me show you guys. Now the steps are quite steep to be honest, but whatever. At least I'm kind of high up now. And as you guys can see, this is what the roof looks like. Over here is another example of modernist art. As you guys can see, these are human beings over here. I'm not sure what they are because I could not find them on Google Maps. But as you guys can see, yeah, these are sculptures. I'm not joking. But why not? I'm going to go to the pyramid, which is over there. And just a few minutes away from all of these is this, which is the Pyramid of Tirana, the most expensive structure in Tirana. The pyramid was first built in 1988 and was formerly a museum and mausoleum dedicated to Enver Hoxha before the fall of communism. After it was used as a conference center, and during the Kosovo War of 1999 it was used as a NATO base, and the building later fell into disuse. And several years ago there was a proposal to even demolish the pyramid, but in 2018 a new project was unveiled. They would turn a pyramid into the youth IT center under the name Tumo Center over there. And 2 years ago the renovated structure operated by MVRDV opened. And let me show you guys the inside of the pyramid. And yeah, it is quite eccentric, to be honest, just like that of Skopje, as well as Ashgabat, Pyongyang, as well as several others. Pranver Hoxha, who was the daughter of Enver Hoxha, and her spouse Clement Kolonechi, were architects of this building. And fun fact, they co-worked with Piero Vado and Vladimir Bro. Okay guys, this is the inside of the pyramid, and over here are some amenities surrounding the pyramid, as you guys can see. And this is what the interior looks like. Tumo over here, which is an IT center dedicated to teach children about computer science as well as robotics. And over here I do believe is a cafe of some sort. Yeah, so this building is definitely a lot nicer than the pre-renovation equivalent. But as you guys can see, it is sort of a bit empty, but in the future it'll be a lot more populated. Over there is a classroom, and if you could not see, I do believe over there is some art class of some sort. Over here is a kiosk for Albert game, and over there is one of their racing cars. Okay guys, I'm now gonna climb up the pyramid. After climbing exactly 114 steps, I finally arrived at the very top of the Pyramid of Tirana over here. And this is the roof of the pyramid. And as you guys can see, this is the whole skyline of Tirana, which includes the mountains, kind of like Los Angeles and Athens, as well as this, which is actually a mosque of Namadzah. Over there is the St. Paul's Cathedral. Yes, a cathedral which looks like this. And as you guys can see, this is the full sky view of Tirana. Quite a modernistic city. I've not really seen many old buildings as much as, say, like other parts of Europe where the Baroque style, neoclassical style buildings. Of here, effectively just modernist buildings. Upon climbing down, I later found out I started from here, of which I already climbed 2 steps. So let's add 2, and then 116 steps on the pyramid to get from the bottom to the top. Well, actually 120. Now within a 5 to 10 minute walk from the pyramid is this, which is the Skanderbeg Square. By far the biggest pedestrian zone in the Balkans, and the most famous tourist attraction in Albania. The Skanderbeg Square was named after Georgi Kastrioti Skanderbeg, who was an Albanian feudal lord from the 15th century who led a rebellion against the Ottoman Empire in the Balkans. The Skanderbeg monument over there, the equestrian monument, dominates the square. It was first constructed in 1968 and it spans 40,000 square meters. Several major buildings are located at or within the vicinity to the square, including, you guessed it, the clock tower as well as the Ethem Beg Mosque over there. So why not? I'm going to go to the square, and over there is the Ferris wheel. Yeah, unfortunately the National Museum of Albania is closed for renovation. It would reopen in about 3 years. I'm not even joking. Which means I cannot go to the National Museum of Albania this time. But as you guys can see, that is a playing area, a field where children could play ball and stuff. Over there is football. And as you guys can see, over there is the Ferris wheel, but I'm not sure how many people ride the Ferris wheel. Okay guys, over here is the full look of the square. Over there is the Ethem Beg Mosque. Over there is the Tirana City Hall. And if you can see, over there is the Palace of Culture in Albania. And over there is the National Museum. Unfortunately, the National Historical Museum is currently closed for renovations. And over there is the clock tower of Tirana. And over there, if you cannot see, is the Eyes of Tirana, which does look eerily similar to that of the Boston University Center for Computing and Data Science. Now I know you're wondering what Albania is called in Albanian, and it is called this: Shqiperise, Shqiperis. I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation. And the Albanian language is quite quirky as well, because even though it is an Indo-European language, in fact it is not part of any subfamily. Albania is its own self within the Indo-European languages family. Now inside the Skanderbeg Square you will find a Ferris wheel as well as a carousel, so that you believe there's a carnival inside the Skanderbeg Square, or a straight up amusement park, but I'm not too sure because I've not visited Tirana in at least a decade. Okay guys, over here is the House of Leaves Museum. Unfortunately, photos and videos are not allowed, so I cannot show you guys the interior of the museum, but the museum is very informational. It costs about 700 lek for adults, and here are some fun facts about this museum. In 1931, the museum was first built and was used as an OB hospital. Well, as you guys know, my parents own an OB clinic at their house in Vietnam, and after the fall of Italian occupation and during the beginning of communist Albania, this building was used as the headquarters of the Siguemi, which was the secret police of Albania. At least 18,000 people in Albania were imprisoned for political crimes, of which 1,000 people were executed for political crimes. I'm not even joking. Which is what makes Albania regarded as the North Korea of Europe. And following the collapse of communism, this building was slowly converted into a museum, and about 8 years ago this building was converted to a museum. And here are some fun facts. It received the 2020 European Museum of the Year award by the Council of Europe, and plus there are 31 rooms inside. Yes, signifying the year of construction. Down there, if you could see, is a bunker, and the reason why many bunkers were built during communist Albania was because of Enver Hoxha's paranoia against quote-unquote outsiders. So he ended up building bunkers, kind of like what is seen in Pyongyang in the DPRK. Over here is the interior of the bunker. I'm scared I might not be able to see well, but as you guys can see, the bunker is quite short. I do believe around 185 centimeters or something. But as you guys can see, yeah, this is what the bunker looks like. I'm scared I might fall in. I might need a flashlight for this. Okay guys, a lot better. Oh, yeah. You might need a flashlight. But as you can see, this is what the bunker looks like. And why not, let's go out of the bunker. Oh no, there's no exit over here. Okay guys, it is quite cool seeing this museum. I'm going to leave this museum, and it is kind of cool to learn this museum turned from like an obstetrics hospital all the way to an interrogation center and later museum. Now next door to the House of Leaves Museum is this, which is the Resurrection of Christ Orthodox Church. This church first opened in 2012 to mark the 20th anniversary of the resurrection of the Orthodox Church in Albania. It was consecrated in 2014, and it reaches a height of 46 meters with an interior area of 1660 square meters. It is the largest Orthodox church in Albania. So why not? I'm just going to go in to show you guys what the Orthodox church looks like in the inside. And this Orthodox church is sort of reminiscent to the one I visited in Macedonia, in Skopje. Okay guys, over there is the church clock tower, and why not? I'm going to enter the church to show you guys what the Orthodox church looks like from the inside. Okay guys, this is the inside of the Resurrection of Christ Orthodox Church. And as you guys can see, there is the image of Jesus Christ at the very top of the dome. And the interior looks quite ornate, just like many European cathedrals. And over there is where you lay your incenses, and over there is another place. And yeah, even though it is not the biggest in Europe, it is the biggest by far in Albania and one of the biggest in the Balkans. After spending a few minutes at the Resurrection of Christ Orthodox Church, I'm now going to go to the Bunk'art Museum over here. As you guys all know, Enver Hoxha is not only a paranoid dictator, he's also a nefarious dictator as well, cementing Albania as a totalitarian state. And the reason why he built tons of bunkers around Albania was because he was paranoid of the quote-unquote invasion of Albania by foreign forces. But in reality, nobody has invaded Albania. Albania has actually switched sides between Yugoslavia, the Soviet Union, as well as the People's Republic of China, and they later went isolationist sometime before the collapse of communism. I finally found the entrance over here, and over there is the Gaz 69. If you don't know, the Gaz 69 is a Soviet car. It is an off-road vehicle, and the Sukhumi used this car to arrest thousands of political opponents. The Gaz 69 went out of production sometime around 1991. Okay guys, I'm currently at the Bunk'art Museum, and over here it depicts about the Gendarmerie, and over here is an example of a member of the Gendarmerie, and over here are some people involved in the foundation of the modern state of Albania. And over here it is. Now you would have to download the Bunk'art app and then select Bunk'art 2, and by hovering through this AR logo, this guy would end up speaking. I'm not even joking. Now this room depicts some of the commanders of the Gendarmerie over here, and it discusses about the police forces after World War I. And over here are some people in opposition who were executed by hanging, and these were quite recent. This was in 1927. In 1928, the House of Zogu was founded. And this was what the Gendarmerie and police looked like during the monarchy. In 1939, the Italian fascists took control of Albania and dissolved the Gendarmerie, instead absorbing the Gendarmerie into the Carabinieri. In Italian, Carabinieri meant military police, and you would see a lot of these cars throughout Italy, along with Policia, which is civilian police. After the liberation of Albania from the Nazi and fascists, the border forces was created in 1945, and until 1991 were part of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Between 1991 and 1993, they were transferred to the Ministry of Defense, and from 1994 onwards, they returned under the control of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, changing their name to the Border Police. Hoxha's regime considers the protection of external borders as important as any suppression of internal opposition, and this explains the importance that the border forces have always had throughout the communist propaganda promoted by the dictator. The purpose of the border forces was to prevent the escape of citizens abroad, offense for which was punishable with death, and to block any entry of illegal Albanians or foreigners from outside. In this case, illegal immigrants were also endangered by death penalty because they were considered saboteurs. And yeah, there are at least some Albanians which might have defected, but who knows? It's kind of like North Korea, where immigration is definitely illegal, and you could be sentenced to capital punishment. Over here is a border patrol dog during the communist regime. Now these dogs were used to catch any suspects which were caught illegally emigrating from Albania. Not only was this dog used to contain emigration, in fact these dogs were used during the 1991 protests to eliminate any dissent and suppress protest. But by then it was too late, because Enver Hoxha's statue was toppled and communism ended up falling. Now last up over here are what the People's Police employees look like, as you guys can see, during communism. And after the implementation of communism in Albania, the Central Forensics Laboratory was created to track down a few criminals. And later in 2000, 9 years after the fall of communism in Albania, the Central Forensics Laboratory has been converted into a newer laboratory called the Scientific Police. Now it is used to investigate criminals. Okay guys, I'm in a section that depicts the traffic and fire police. And as you guys know, the National Police of Albania was divided into two sections. One is traffic police, which is police Rugor. You might have seen it in Top Gear when the police Rugor chased 3 of the cars. And the other is the fire police. Both of them only exist in cities because there were very few cars. In fact, Enver Hoxha was one of the only people in Albania who owned a car. And in 1958, only 1% of all citizens in Albania had a first-class driver's license. I'm now in the second passageway, and over here is Koçi Koçer, who was the director of the Sigurimi until he was convicted of treason and then assassinated in 1948. And over here was a 20-year-old political prisoner who was sentenced to death. After Koçi Koçer's death, the Sigurimi has become even more authoritarian and more isolationist. And the Sigurimi has tried to stop several anti-communist groups that tried to overturn the regime of Albania. Now the Sigurimi has masked itself as regular civilians to try to hide themselves, but in reality they're secret police, and here are some of the materials they used to mask themselves. The Sigurimi effectively tracked people everywhere. And with the escape of the Popo family to Italy, communism started to crackle. With the siege ending in 1990 and with Italy flying all the way to Rome with 6 members of the Popo family, their escape would be an example to be followed by thousands of compatriots who several weeks later invaded the Western embassies in Tirana, marking the end of the communist regime in Albania the following year. Over here was the Interceptor's home, and over there was the Collaborator's home. And fun fact, during Enver Hoxha's death in 1985, many interceptors from the Sigurimi have recorded conversations and arrested several dissidents for criticizing Enver Hoxha and congratulating his death in 1985. Over here some equipment used in secret shooting. And this room is the minister's room over here. Now this is what it looks like, and over there was the Commodore PET, which was the first computer used in Albania, and over there is color TV. I'll show you guys this, which is the minister's bedroom over here. As you guys can see, just a plain old bed. Over here was some anonymous letters used against the regime, but the Sigurimi has captured these letters, and some of the political dissidents were arrested, and some of them were sentenced to capital punishment. And not only was citizens surveyed, foreigners were also surveyed as well. If you were to enter Albania from a foreign country, like say the United States of America, you'll be surveyed from the day you arrive until the minute you leave. And long hair is not allowed in socialist Albania, and hippies are not allowed, and your hair will be shaved upon entering Albania. Over here is what the checkpoint looks like. And fun fact, it was not only political enemies who were arrested, females and children were also arrested, with the US denouncing some of the camps in Albania. And as you guys can see, over here is a list of camps in Albania, and the prisons were brutal. In fact, many thousands of people were sentenced to death during the 47-year span of communism. I'm now in passageway 3, and over here you can see some quotes. Now I'm gonna show you guys this room, which shows the monster of the dictatorship. Over here it is, yeah, as you guys can see, quite scary to be honest. And why not, let's go down, because downstairs is the Museum of Illusions, sort of. Yeah, as you guys can see, it sort of is the Museum of Illusions, kind of like the one I visited in Ljubljana, Slovenia, about 2 years ago. Now the last passageway is passageway 4. Over here is an interrogation room or investigation room. And over here are the 36 types of tortures committed by the investigator during the communist regime of Albania. Quite a lot. Over here is another investigation room, even though there are 2 beds. And this is what a prison cell looks like. quite a stark contrast from any Norwegian prison, which is seen as humane. This is seen as very inhumane. And lastly, this is the decontamination room. Okay guys, yeah. I know the doors are kind of a bit narrow, but I'm kind of close to the exit now. I've just exited. Okay guys, I just exited the Bunk'art 2, and for €9 I would say it is definitely worth it. Not only would you have like exhibitions as well as even a mini museum of illusions, you even have AR as well, which is an eccentricity of this museum. After spending nearly 2 hours at the Bunk'art 2, why not I'd stop by this, which is the Ethem Beg Mosque. Now this mosque closed during communist rule, but after communist rule had ended, this mosque reopened, and over here is the mosque. There is only one minaret, as you guys can see, and why not I'd go in to show you guys. You have seen the inside footage. Let me tell you guys about the history of the Haji Ethem Beg Mosque. It is known for its frescoes outside and inside the portico, which depicts trees, waterfalls and bridges. It was built between 1792 and 1820, and inside the complex you would also find this, which is the clock tower of Tirana. And fun fact, even though it closed under communism in 1991, the very beginning, 10,000 people attended the mosque carrying flags, and the police didn't interfere, and that marked the beginning of religious freedom once again in Albania. Now part of the mosque complex is this, which is the clock tower over here. This is what the clock tower looks like. I'm not sure if it opens or not, but it does seem like it's closed at this moment. Okay guys, here is some information pertaining to the clock tower. It was first built in 1822 and it reached a height of 30 meters high. But in 1928 there were several more additions, including the balcony, 4 clock fields and a Venetian style roof, which increased the height to 35 meters. Until 1970 this clock was the tallest structure in all of Tirana, which is kind of shocking, as you guys could see many taller buildings today. But this is what the clock tower looks like. Unfortunately the clock tower is now closed, and if you want to go you have to go during the morning up until about, I believe, noontime, but I'm not too sure because the hours are kind of inconsistent with the clock tower, and the cost is about €2, aka 200 lek. So I do believe it might be a better choice just to climb the pyramids, because the pyramid is free and taller. I'm now walking through downtown, and some of the attractions I've not visited yet include the Tirana Castle, the Toptani Mall, as well as the new bazaar, of which I'll visit soon. And later I'm gonna cross through the tennis bridge to go to the Tirana Park. Now on my way to one of the attractions is the Friendship Monument, which was donated to Albania from Kuwait. Kuwait, similar to Qatar, Oman, Saudi Arabia, the UAE as well as Bahrain, is a very affluent country situated in the Middle East. And similar to all of these, Kuwait is also a petrol state as well. Now next to the Friendship Monument, if you could see, is the Maritime Hotels, and there's several flags, including the Albanian flag, US, EU, Bulgaria, Germany, Greece, France, the UK, Turkey, Switzerland, Kosovo, Bosnia, Japan, Kuwait, as well as Saudi Arabia, and at the very end is Korea and Italy. Now over here is the Toptani Mall. This mall spans 60,000 square meters, so by no means the biggest even in Albania. In fact, it is only the second biggest in Albania after the Tirana Eastgate Mall, which is a bit away from the center. But this mall does feature 80 shops. I'm not sure if I could eat here because I do want to try out Albanian cuisine as well. Over here is the mall in its basic form, kind of like any mall in Massachusetts, including the Cambridge Side Mall as well as the South Shore Plaza, but in a smaller form factor. I just bought some water at the Conad supermarket and exited the mall, and over there, if you could see, is the fortress of Justinian, aka Tirana Castle, which dates back all the way to the Byzantine era, before the 14th century, so before 1300. And as you guys can see, I'm now going to go into the castle to show you guys what it is all about. Now, this castle is used as a shopping center, and it is very adjacent to the Toptani Mall. Yeah. One fun fact about the Toptani Mall was it was named after the Toptani family over here. Yes, who inhabited the Tirana Castle for some time. Over here is a map of the castle, and over there is the family tree of the Toptani family. Now the fortress is a field fortification with a rectangular plan, 160 by 200 meters, the longer side facing east to west. The preserved construction of some of the towers and the bailies show that the castle might have been built during the early Byzantine period between the 4th and 6th century AD. It might be one of the fortifications built or rebuilt by Emperor Justinian in the New Epirus, aka Duris province. Part of the bailey seen today above the surface belongs to the last century's wall built by Ahmed Pasha Bargini. In 1798, the Toptani family from Kruja took over the castle. And in 1817, the whole city of Tirana suffered a 5-month siege. And over here is what the castle fortification looks like. As you guys can see, full of restaurants as well as shops. Over here, even more shops. And in 1973, the castle of Tirana was designated as a cultural monument. Over here is an olive oil shop, and over there are Albanian product shop. Over there, you can see, is the exit to the castle, and I'm finally out of the castle over here. Now this castle is 6 meters tall. It's not really tall, but still whatever. And yeah, even though I thought there would be so few Asian tourists, in fact, these are Asian tourists. And fun fact, I was born in Vietnam myself. I'm not sure if this is in a castle or not, but you could buy traditional Albanian clothing over here. I'm not even joking. Now adjacent to the Tirana Castle is this, which is the Namadzah Mosque. This mosque is by far the biggest mosque in the Balkans, minus Turkey. Now, as you guys can see, there are 4 minarets, and the minarets reach a total height of 50 meters. 10,000 worshippers could sit inside and outside of the mosque, with 8,000 inside and about 2,000 outside. The total land area is 10,000 square meters, making this the biggest mosque in the Balkans. And groundbreaking was in 2015, but the mosque only completed 1 year ago, yes. Which means last year the mosque was finally consecrated and opened. This mosque was built in a classical Ottoman style, and plus, as you guys can see, the mosque is quite beautiful. Now the whole mosque complex cost 30 million euros to construct. Okay guys, I'm now going to go into the mosque to show you guys what the mosque looks like from the inside. I just exited this mosque, and just like the Soleimani Mosque in Istanbul, this mosque is extremely opulent with some intricate details. And due to the fact I'm hungry, I'm going to look for a restaurant. I'm in a residential neighborhood, and as you guys can see, I do believe these are comic blocks, kind of like what is seen in the Soviet Union as well as other Soviet satellite states. But Albania is not really a Soviet satellite state. I do believe it's more of an ally of the Soviet Union during the 50s, and then during the 60s they started aligning with China. I'm not joking. After about 50 more meters, I finally arrived at the restaurant, Gjeltori Salku, which is an Albanian restaurant. Over here is the first course of the meal. Over here is the second course of the meal, which includes rice and meat for 330 lek, as well as one sausage for 100 lek, aka €1. Last up is the fries, which cost 200 lek. Okay guys, I finished eating. Now I'm going to go to the old and new bazaar. I just finished dinner now, and over here is the new bazaar. I'll show you guys the old bazaar later, but you can see some restaurants as well as some shops. Over here is a bread shop. Over here even more restaurants. And as you guys can see, over there is a farmer's market. You can find stuff like beans, as well as fruits and vegetables. Come like any market. And I do believe this is a lot more civilized and clean than Bentan market, in my opinion. Or of course Bintay market. You could even find some embellishments and souvenirs, as well as plates. Now adjacent to the new bazaar is the old bazaar over here. Yeah. From what it seems like, it's only a restaurant. I don't believe there's a market around here. One of the very last attractions I'm gonna show you guys today is this, which is the Tirana Bridge. I'm not sure if I would even like climb, because it kind of looks a bit scary, to be honest. There are no rails whatsoever, but as you guys can see, this is what the whole bridge looks like. Yeah, this bridge comes from the 18th century, which is like very old, but not as old as some other bridges, such as the Skanderbeg Mosque, of which I'm going to visit around next week or something. Okay guys, here's some fun facts about the Tirana Bridge. The Tirana Bridge is an Ottoman bridge from the 18th century near the Tirana Mosque, and it was once part of the St. George Road, which linked Tirana with the Eastern Highlands. And the Tirana Bridge crossed the Lion Stream, but unfortunately the Lion Stream did divert during the 1930s, and this bridge did fall into disrepair. But in the 1990s, the bridge was renovated. Now the bridge was 2.5 meters wide, 3.5 meters tall, and 8 meters long, so not really that long. Okay guys, good morning. I just checked out of the hotel, and as you guys can see, I'm currently at the Tirana City Park. This is the very last attraction I'm gonna visit in Tirana before having to go to the airport at around 1:30 p.m. And as you guys can see, it is still about 9:30, so quite early, and therefore you have enough time to go to the park. I'm just gonna walk a bit, and then I'm going to buy some lunch, and then take the bus all the way to the airport, where I'm going to be flying to Budapest. Okay guys, let me tell you guys some fun facts about this park. The park was built between 1955 and 1956, so in a span of 1 year, and the park is about 289 acres big, which means it's quite big. There are 120 species of trees, bushes and flowers, as you guys can see. And not only would you find an artificial lake, but you would also find a church, as well as a presidential palace, as well as even a botanical garden and zoo. So why not? I'll show you guys some fun facts about this park in action. Now over there is the Burger King, and as you guys can see, over there is the artificial lake. Unfortunately the rain starts, but over there is the artificial lake, and over there is an Asian pavilion of some sort. As you guys can see, you could also find an open theater in Tirana Park as well. Okay guys, I just climbed up a steep hill from the open theater of Tirana, and I'm now very close to the cemetery. Now over there is the bus of 5 people, and these are the 5 people being mentioned: Naima Frasheri, Mithat Frasheri, Abil Frasheri, Faik Konica, and Sami Frasheri. Now over here is a rather small cemetery. Okay guys, I'm nearly finished with the park. I'm now looking for food to eat, so I'll see you guys at the restaurant. Now the very last thing I'm gonna show you guys is this, which is Renush Idrisi. He was a poet from the late 20th century, and as you guys can see, he died at 70 years old, even though he could have been alive today because he was born in 1938. Okay guys, due to the fact I wanted to do walk, therefore I'm going to take the bus to the airport early. Over here is what the bus looks like, kind of like a coach bus, as you guys can see. So why not, I'll see you guys at the airport. Okay guys, I'm currently at the airport. It is now 12:30 and I felt like I regretted going to the airport too early. My flight is at 16:30 and I arrived like at least 4.5 to 5 hours before the flight. And here's my meal. As you guys can see, Milanese as well as this. Now this whole combo cost 10 euros 40. Yeah, that's expensive considering I could buy this exact same meal in like Tirana Central at only about 500 lek, aka like a bit more than 5 euros. But I paid this much, which is kind of at least overpriced, but at least I could do walk and not have to worry about being late for the flight. Yeah, I know it's kind of expensive. Luckily they clear out all the Albanian lek, so I no longer have to carry Albanian lek, just like the 7 Turkish lira that I carried. So over here is the meal I'm going to eat, and then I'm gonna see you guys soon. Okay guys, I'm currently at the Tirana International Airport. As you guys can see, the airport is named after Mother Teresa. Yeah, I'm not even joking. That is despite the fact she was born in North Macedonia, specifically in Skopje, a city I visited last year. So here is my conclusion about Tirana, Albania. In Tirana, you would expect to pay between 4 and 10 euros, aka 400 to 1,000 lek for a nice meal. Tourist attractions mostly cost between 5 to 10 euros, aka 500 to 1,000 lek. And bus in Tirana is about 40 lek, aka 45 cents. Hotels typically range between $30 and $80 for a decent hotel, but the hotel I slept at costed me only 25 US dollars. Okay guys, here is my verdict on whether or not Tirana is underrated or not. In reality, accommodations, food, tourist attractions and public transit are reasonably affordable. Not only that, but you do have tons of amenities and history as well, ranging from the communist dictatorship all the way to the Gendarmerie and stuff. So I do believe Tirana is worth it. Plus it is quite eccentric, kind of like that of Skopje, Macedonia. But the thing is, I will put Tirana on par with Sarajevo in Bosnia, because I do believe Sarajevo does have more history, plus it is slightly more accessible to the European Union, just because it borders Croatia. Albania does border Greece, however, but in reality it's a bit further from like other Schengen states. Plus Sarajevo was the site of the start of World War I with the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, and plus Sarajevo does have information pertaining to the Bosnian War, aka part of the Yugoslav War. So I do believe Tirana is amongst the most underrated, because there are not many tourists, but in fact there are tons and tons of things to do. Plus, if you have like a US or European visa, even if you're not a citizen of say any of these visa waiver states, such as say Vietnam or China, you could visit Albania. And plus, US nationals are granted visa-free access to Albania for 1 year, which is quite decent. So in my opinion, I do believe it is amongst the most underrated, definitely more so than like say Chisinau, Moldova, Skopje and Macedonia, as these cities don't really have much to do in terms of tourist attractions or major historical events or anything. And of course Podgorica in Montenegro. So thank you guys for watching. Please give a big thumbs up, subscribe for more videos, and I'm gonna see you guys soon.